You got so much names. Randomly speaking with Rudie Rich. Oh.
Randomly speaking with Rudie Rich.
No, it's just juice. It's just juice. Share, subscribe. You're central.
Welcome to another episode of the Random Podcast Show. Myself, Rudie Rich, and today, Esther. Or should we say, be true. Be true.
Paris. We're going to try a little nickname for myself because obviously you have one, Rudie Rich, and we have Asher. So I feel like unfortunately she's not here today, but I feel like I should have a little nickname too. Russ is just like Esther. So yeah, I want to try it out. Let's try it out. Be true Paris, or is that a little bit?
It's true. Be true to your name. Be true to yourself.
Like, I'm always told I'm very different, so I'm just true to who I am, isn't it? That's all you can be. Be true. I'm going to look for it. I like it.
So what's
Good evening.
Yeah, what's been happening this week then? What you been up to in this hot sun? It feels like, you know what this feels like to me? It feels like Ascot weather, you know. It feels like I should be out there sipping on some Pims, just 2 Heineken or something like that still.
The weather has been lovely. Well, for the hour I get to enjoy in the lunchtime, it's been lovely.
And in the evenings.
It's kind of gone in by that time. It's not at the peak of the heat. I'm one of those that I like the heat. I like the skin to cook. With the heat, I don't know, people will be like, oh, that's not good for you or anything, but I don't literally mean sizzle off my skin. I do like that too. But I like to feel the vitamin D just being absorbed by my skin. So I very much look forward to a possible heat wave of 40. I'm hoping we see that kind of temperatures. That's what I like. I know it's uncomfortable for some, and but for me, I enjoy it. I'm a sun baby, July baby, so I'm a summer baby.
Yeah, but we're getting just July weather now. We're just touched March, May.
It's how it should be. It's how it once was.
First week of May.
How it once was. Do you remember when we used to have sunshine in May?
I remember in May, but then in May we also got the showers, the April showers running into May. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we did around the beginning.
Yeah, but
and we didn't really have April showers this year, so that's obviously gonna kick us somewhere.
After all this heat, it's gonna break at some stage. It's gonna break.
I think it's this weekend.
Thunderstorm and some rubbish. You know what I mean?
As long as for actual Ascot weekend, we have back these temperatures.
Well, you're on that ladies' day and all that.
I am indeed. My dress arrived today.
I think
I've just got to find a nice fascinator. So anyone that knows any good fascinator websites, if they could please.
You mean that little round?
Let in. Yeah, I'm looking for like a fedora type side, one that like tilts to the side.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm thinking you're talking about one of them big hats.
Yeah, like a big hat. Like, but it's not a hat. It's
leans to the side.
Fascinator type thing. Yeah, just leads to the side. It's like a big brim. It's very Diana.
Yes.
She's July 1st. I'm July 2nd. Gonna give Diana.
Okay.
Yeah, my dress arrived today, so that's actually a shock for me. I'm very organised this year. Very organised.
Well, I tell you what, they said April the 30th was the hottest day on record since I've been recording weathers for April. The last day of April was the hottest recorded day in April.
Yep.
And then they said May the 1st was even hotter. I thought April 30th was hot, you know what I mean? But
I thought it was hotter than May 1st.
I thought so, but
I've been just enjoying it. Anything over 25, I'm in.
For me, anything over 18 is heat, you know what I mean? But real heat, yeah. Once you're up in the 20s, yeah, I agree. But I mean,
okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
This is a debate I have quite often, actually. I personally, my opinion only, don't think this country needs air conditioning. We don't get hot enough.
I'm not really, to be fair, I'm not really interested in air conditioning because if it's in a vehicle and you got it on, it kind of used to make me sneeze and it kind of make you feel clogged up or some sort of way anyhow. And then in the yard, I don't think you need it because
what about in the office? Have you ever? Office environment?
No, I'm not really like in a company office with loads of people or anything like that. So only time I truly appreciate it is like, you know, when you're in Jamaica.
Yes.
And you know, you just breeze it on. But even still, you don't. I could do without it. You know what I mean? I know it's hot when it's hot like there, and when I'm in Africa and them places and it's hot. Yeah.
Yes.
It's good to have it just to
You're
breeze out the
grateful
room.
for it.
But at the same time, once you're inside a hot room and you leave and you go out and you get the natural breeze, then it's good.
And you're
the
good.
breeze is good.
Yeah, I personally think we do not get hot enough to require air conditioning in buildings, because I think people take full advantage of it and abuse the coldness that can actually.
Some people
like to be cold.
Some people, yeah, that's what I mean. People have it on for no good reason. Why you got the air conditioning on when it's cold already?
It's when it's cold outside, but because there's a there's sunlight beaming, they think, oh, aircon, and you're just like, really? It's like 10 degrees outside. Do we really need aircon on?
Well, you're good, because if that's me working in that environment, I'll be falling out with every one of those co-workers, because I'm not in it. Because if I go somewhere and the window's open and thing, I'll be looking at the window after about 5 minutes. I'm just shutting the window or telling you know what I mean? Making them know it's not cold, it's not hot. You don't need the window open.
Yeah, it's cold enough for the circulation to be fine inside. We don't need that extra cold breeze, especially when you're on public transport.
Yeah, it's true.
But sorry, I took us off course there. It was just while we were talking about that good summertime heat.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have more coming, hot weather coming, more records to be broken. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All I know is if it's like this in May, June, July. Yeah, if it stays like this all the way throughout,
The rest of the summer.
Yeah, this is going to be a hot summer. It's going to be like one of them legendary side here. I think they said it was 1977 or something like that, where they had a legendary hot summer. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's that hot. Yeah, you know, flying insects. You know, the ants with the wings and that everywhere. It was just that
And
hot.
they're so big.
Locust and apocalypse heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the downside of it. That is the downside. The ants and
Flying ants.
unnecessary insects. I know they do have a purpose. People are always trying to tell me, because I have a what do you call it? What's the fear of insects? The spiders, daddy long legs,
something
moths.
phobia or whatever, I
yeah,
don't
just
know.
all of it. Just phobia. Just what they need. There's no need.
So you know, like I got a fear of spiders and them thing there. Do you do you just freeze, or do you kill them? Are you an insect murderer, or do you run away? What do you do?
So previous actions
And
would
by
have
the
been
way, you
kind
have
of
to remember, like the pet people are a species or whatever it is. They'll be listening, so you don't want to be telling them that you're killing insects.
They,
you know what I mean?
they
Dogs and flies and
trespassed,
rabbits.
so it was in self-defense and fear of my life. So
What was it? What insect?
when they come into my house, that's trespass.
What, ants?
Ant, daddy long legs, spider.
But you haven't got fear of
moth.
ants, have you?
It's not a fear of them, but they come in their drones, don't they? So when you see a whole cluster of them, it just makes your skin crawl. So you just instantly think exterminate. Just you know, it's just no.
I'm
And
with
plus,
you.
like, if they get into your food and stuff like that, you got to chuck everything. So you just got to make sure you bleach down everywhere. And does people use bleach anymore? But no, you know, good old thick bleach. Make sure you wipe down everywhere properly. Anything sticky.
No.
Got to be on the kids with that as well. It's summertime when they spill drink and think that just looking at it will clean it up. It's like, no. Make sure you use something soapy to think, not just a tissue. I think that would do. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this. It's insecticide, I think is the best way to put it, called Raid. And it's the red can, not the blue one, because the blue one is for flies, but the red one is for ants and creepy crawlies.
Crawling insects.
It is a phenomenal product. Phenomenal. Dead seconds.
Yeah, I got all them, but like what I noticed with that, I prefer. I know the powder's everywhere, and I don't really like to have but the powder's effective. But you know, with the spray, certain times it's toxic. You know what I mean? You don't want to be breathing that in, and so they both work in the right environment. You know what I mean? Ants is something like.
It's not about the right environment. It's every environment for me. Like it's if you are in my house, because I don't possess that bravery to get a piece of tissue and pick it up or drop it in a box with a piece of that's if you know me, you know me. And Raid is the best thing for me until I get that knight in shining armor that's gonna come and rescue me from all of the insects. I even have a cat, and the cat will look at it and play with it before killing it. So it's just like, no, you know. So I've done before anyone comes for me, I do remove the cat from the situation before I will use raid. I will make sure she stays out of the area of which I have used that product. So before anyone comes for me, I do care for the cat. She's good, trust me. But yeah, raid. Anyone else that has the same phobia, trust me, Asda. Well, actually, I shouldn't promote, but raid, red can, it's phenomenal.
So can I ask you a question? You don't like, sorry, let's just name them: ants, spiders.
I mean, anything
worms.
that comes under insect. Worms, I can't say as an adult I have too much encounters with worms or snails. They don't really bother me because it's really on like a pathway.
So it's
It's the things that can attack me.
Yeah.
You know, the moths are the worst.
So hold on. So if you saw a spider, you're gonna freeze. If you saw a
Freeze? I will dash you clean on the spider to save myself. That's what
any
I'm
size
like.
spider, even one of them ones that look like one of them little earrings.
I don't. What do you mean little? Let's not diminish
a little spider. You know,
my
you got some of them
challenges.
spiders.
Let's not diminish
they
my
don't
challenges.
even count as spiders. They're just
can't
like
call it little.
they're just like dots. Like they just look like.
Let's not diminish.
Even
Let's
a
not
rice
diminish.
grain would be like a giant to one of them. You know what I mean?
It is a challenge for me.
Is
to
it still a
overcome this
spider?
fear. If it comes under the terminology of an insect, specifically spider, creepy crawly, then yeah, no. You have to die. My golden rule is though, I do not trouble them in their own habitat. So if you're outside and if I've entered your space, then I will vacate that. I will not kill you in your own habitat. But the moment you trespass in mine, you're gone.
Okay,
Definitely.
yeah. So you freeze up a spider. What about snakes?
No, I don't mind snakes.
Knew you were going to say this. And this is the thing what I don't get. Yeah, most people I see it on Facebook all the time. Oh, the biggest spider in my life just entered the room, and the people are showing memes of them, somebody sitting on top of the door frame because there's a spider. And I get it. You got a fear of spiders, so I'm not gonna kind of undermine that or anything and say it's stupidness or anything like that. I'm not gonna say that. Yeah. But I don't understand how somebody could be scared of a little spider what can't do them nothing. Oh, hear me out. A little tiny spider. You're like a giant to an ant when it comes to the spider. And I get it because I do get it. But then you wrap a deadly snake and be feeling up a snake and got it around your hand, taking pictures for the gram and all this thing on this big boa constrictor wrap around. And I'm thinking to myself, why? How the hell are you scared of a spider? And you can wrap a snake around your body. And this is not. I'm not going to grill you on this though, because I see it too many times. So explain that to me, please, because I don't get that. I don't get it.
Do you know what it is?
You know, snake's deadly.
Fear.
Yeah, you know, snake is one of the deadliest animals on earth. That's why they call it.
So can spiders?
Yeah, those ones what you find out in the Amazon where nobody ain't going.
Yeah, but we don't have deadly
common
snakes
house
here.
Spider. Huh?
We don't have deadly snakes here, though, do we?
There's adders in every grass in England. There's adders at the top of the road up there.
Kill you.
I'm sure all the snakes will bite you.
It's harmless, just trying to live its life.
All right. So you rather get bit by a spider or a snake?
Snake.
See, this is where.
I mean, neither realistically, but if I had to choose, yeah.
Nah, doesn't make never.
I think it would be the thought that a spider's touched me would absolutely freak me out. Like, there's just no words. Like the thought of, and I think that's again, it's an irrational fear, but. Oh my gosh, yeah, no. Touch me? Oh God, no. Whereas, yeah, I've held a corn snake. And I like bearded dragons and geckos and...
What's that? Bearded dragon and gecko, what's that?
It's like an iguana. They're like a lizard.
Reptile. Okay, yeah.
I like those sort of things.
Yeah, okay.
And like people have fear of rats. Rats don't bother me. You know, I've seen volunteer. I mean, it's not nice, don't get twisted, but the same way a rat would run past me, I'd be like, ooh. But if it was a spider to run past me, it'd be a whole different...
People don't even see the spiders. Spiders are so small.
I'd see it. I'd see it. I've got an amazing spider detector.
I get
like,
it. When the spiders are a certain stage,
and I
a
don't
certain
even have good vision,
size.
but I will see a spider.
Yeah, if you could see it, that means it's big enough to be seen. Like when I say, you see, like if there's a spider that size, yeah, be afraid of that. If there's a spider the size of a penny, yeah, I get some people might be afraid of that, but I think anything penny and smaller, they're non-existent. You don't even look at them. If they got legs, what you could count the legs, and they got like, you could see the hairs and the legs and the little things coming off the claws. Then yeah, I get it. Then no. I'm not picking them up. I'm not dusting them out. I'm putting a phone book on them and stepping on it. Or if I've got time, I'll get a container, one of the Tupperware thing where you buy your food in it. Get the lid and piece of cardboard and then fling it out in somebody else's garden. You know what I mean?
You're one of them.
Yeah, but once they get over a certain size, you know what I mean? Then yeah.
Can't harm a spider.
No. If they're big, they're getting dust out straight up. But like once they're like a tiny thing like that doesn't even count. You know what I mean? That's not even a spider. To me, that's just like a moving.
If it's a patterned background, I probably would bit harder. Like I said, I haven't got good vision. So if it was a patterned background, I probably would struggle. If it moved or if it was moving, I'd probably sense it, see it. But my problem is on a plain background, such as like your white walls. If there was a speck on that, I'm studying that to ensure what it is first. And I can't concentrate on anything else going on in the room until I can gratify myself enough to know that that's not an insect.
Okay, so I've seen. You know what I pick up of that? I pick up two things there. I pick up one thing. There's a sense of OCD because you're seeing the speck and you're thinking that shouldn't be there. So that's one part of it. But then you see when you said earlier about if it's on a pattern background and stuff like that, are you actually looking out for them? That's what I'm saying. Are you?
I think my first kind of thought.
If you look out for them and you kind of like visualize them, because you know what they say, if you visualize things that comes to you, you know what I mean? You're visualizing these spiders and you're looking at where they could be in that corner, and you go in that corner and yeah, there's one there because it's by the window and they crept in when you had the window open.
Okay, prime example. I mean? So my bathroom windows stay open all year round.
And you don't like spiders?
Like a crack enough for air, because obviously steam and all of that, don't want mold. My bathroom tiles are black. I like the colour black, which is a bit of a downfall. My curtains are black, my rug is black, but I like the colour black. So my kind of ritual is, I've got to check before I can get in the bath. Because I think my worst situation would be to be having a lovely old shower and be that close to like the ceiling and then there's a spider in the corner. Like that proximity, and then you've got to think I'm in the shower, it's wet, slippery. My reactions aren't good. So I would most definitely probably hurt myself more through me trying to get away from it than just to do a quick 5-minute check. And if it was white tiles, I'd probably do the check as I come in and quickly scour the bathroom. But because it's black tiles, I would have to stand there for a few minutes and just check. Every
time you're going to shower, you do a good scan.
I would do a good, just check. Nothing's in the corners, nothing's around the window.
But they do hide in places where you can't see them,
Because that I guarantee you would either hear that I'm in hospital, I've licked my head on the basin, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Oh, we don't know. And then when I come through, I'll be like, oh my God, did you get the spider? I wouldn't care about anything else until you can tell me you got that spider, or else come get me out of this bathroom.
They might think you've got amnesia or something if you start talking about the spider. They'll be thinking, I don't think she know what day of the week it is. She's talking about a spider.
I don't think anyone can actually picture it until you see me. And anyone that knows...
But that's serious.
It's bad. And
that's serious.
Do you know what? My dad is very playful and my sister's the same. She has an irrational fear as well, and my dad was very playful, so for him it was jokes to like catch a spider and pretend to chuck it on us when we were younger, or catch a moth and put it in the toilet. So moths don't flush, they just flutter in the water. So to him that was funny, but to us it's just installed this quirk. Let's call it a quirk.
I get it.
Quirk.
I get it.
But do you know what I find fascinating? As much as I have fear of spiders, when I'm around men, I instantly think you are the hero. So I'd be like, oh my gosh, kill that spider. And when they say, I don't like spiders either, I'm just like, what? What
And then
do you mean?
you go into like freak out mode. You're like,
It's not okay to freak out. I don't know
you
what.
don't get it. You don't get it.
I don't understand it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like spiders? You're
Well, I
mad.
don't think
And
anyone
it's one of
likes
those-
spiders though.
Yeah, but you know, you're,
Well, I get it,
you're
yeah.
the dads. You come swooping in and you go and kill it, and it's apart from Warren, like he was like he would get them.
He's
like
the
don't get it
protector.
twisted,
He's the
he would get
protector,
them,
yeah.
but it was just he would fool around with it afterwards, which me and my sister didn't find too funny. But yeah, so I do find it strange, and I'm there. I mean, it's interesting. Men out there, like, do you mind them? Don't like them? Won't go near them? Like, what's your view on them? Because
Like I said, I don't business with spiders. If I see a spider and there's a spider there, if it's
fascinated by
like I said, if
people.
they're it's like a little when it gets to the size of like, how can I say?
You know, like how they're like them big-bodied one. You know, where they got
Yeah,
the
the big-
body and the
Big
legs.
body
They
one,
come in
that
like
one's not staying.
they're
I look at
well-fed.
it, and some of those they do move fast as well. So
I think we need to
that
change
one,
the
I'm
subject.
going. If it's in my house, I'm going into the kitchen. Like I said, I know the strategy of getting rid of any spiders, and I've got no more spiders anyhow. So
What's that?
You don't know about no more spiders?
What is that? Is that like one of them little catches where you
No,
catch
it's just
it,
like
got a
a
little brush on the end?
it's just like a pump spray thing, and they don't like it. You know, obviously spiders don't like conkers and stuff like that. So
That's a myth.
no, this no more spiders. I don't know what's in it, but spiders don't like it. You spray it around the door. It's like it's a wet pump, like you know, like your kitchen cleaner and that. And you just spray it around the door frame, so it's no white dusty stuff like the ant powder and stuff like that. So you can spray it, and it doesn't look no kind of way, and it works. And believe you me, I buy them by. It's not like I'm buying them because I'm scared of spiders. I just don't like anybody else. I just don't want them walking across my carpet or walking along the wall or whatever. And it's this time of year where the heat and they start coming out and stuff like that.
And do you know what is the number one fascination for me? I would love to just be like those that just don't mind them, pick them up in a tissue and can dash them out.
Yeah. I done that a few days ago.
Absolutely fascinate me is the ones that can just leave them happily to sleep in a room with them in the corner.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Give them a little name.
I mean, like I said, if it's one of them, to me, there's different levels of spiders. Like I said, if it's one of them ones what I call, they're like,
What, you
they're not
just
bold
leave it?
spiders.
Okay.
They're not bold spiders. They're like a kid who's just drawing a
money
little
spider.
pencil spider, money spider. Yeah, them things don't count. I see one of them. It's so small. I just leave it. It'll be there tomorrow now. So I'll be looking. I see it. I goes, right, okay. Even if that could walk across the whole room in a couple of hours, that I still see tomorrow. It'd be in the same spot or a meter apart. So that could. I'm not even going out my way. That's harmless. Yeah.
I
When it-
always
when
think
it
to
gets
myself
to
when they
anything-
start having babies in your house and stuff, then what? And you know they have babies by the
True.
like hundreds.
True.
Then what?
Yeah, there's stories about. I won't get the stories. You probably freak out. So, but there's stories where people have spiders that have burrowed under someone's skin and laid eggs, and then they cut the man open, and a bunch of little tiny spider babies come out, like about 50 of them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
TikTok is full of them. TikTok with all them videos of people's
And it's true.
misfortunes with encounters with spiders, and I think that has added to the thought that. And you know when they used to say like, "Oh, you swallow 8 spiders in your life" and stuff like that.
Probably.
I would like to think
Probably in
that's
your
a
food,
myth.
in your salad.
Ew,
No, they're money spiders. They're everywhere.
no, because you're supposed to wash your veg and your stuff properly.
Yeah. Well, what I do now, I kind of wash my veg in water, and I put baking soda, bicarbonate soda.
Oh, you put the bark on.
Yeah, because that's really good. It gets rid of all the,
Yeah.
little tiny things what you can't see what's crawling about in your veg and your fruit.
Yeah, because I heard with people that do bicarbonate and vinegar, like you shouldn't do that because one of them cancels out the other one.
You put bicarbonate soda and vinegar. You could use that to like a scrubbing agent, isn't it?
It's a scrubbing agent, but you know how people use it to wash their fruit? Some people think putting vinegar in that was supposed to wash your fruit. Apparently, one cancels out the other. So
Yeah, I've never done the two like that in combination.
I haven't. I'm scared. Don't your
I
fruit
don't-
taste of vinegar afterwards? Like,
But I've never done it. I've just like literally water and put the bicarb and put it in a bowl and swish it around a bit more, then rinse it off. You know what I mean? So seems to,
Mad, isn't it?
apparently that's something. So you know, but you know,
all of that just nah.
you wouldn't do well in like. I remember the first time I went to Gambia. I stayed at a friend's house, but it was like it wasn't in the main house. They had like a, what would you call it, little annex? Not annex. It was just like a room outside of the building, just a couple of steps away, like the helpers' room.
Yeah.
It was literally a bedroom, and he walked
Like
through and it had a
kitchen or
bathroom. You know, so yeah, bathroom and a bedroom, and. You know, first time in Gambia, first time in Africa, I thought, you know what, man, I'll take one of them mosquito nets. You know, one of them ones you still have back in the days in the Caribbean, you know what I mean? So I said, well, on eBay or somewhere and buy one of them, so I'm going to hang it up. And it's a good thing I bring it, because I tell you something, I see cockroaches. I never seen cockroaches that big in my life, and these cockroaches were advanced. When I say advanced, these things were like big. Yeah, the bodies were big. That's all I'm gonna say. They're like a little fruit, like a plum or something. No, I wouldn't say a plum.
No.
Like a lot bigger than a grape, like them big giant black grapes.
No.
And I tell you something, when I say these things were advanced, they're like cockroaches, like robo cockroach or cockroach on steroids, because these things were moving like you'd see it here, and within 5 seconds it's down the. It was seriously Usain Bolt cockroaches.
I'm going home.
All right.
Thank you very much for your hospitality. I cannot stay in these conditions. I have to go.
But hear what? The guys who lived there, all right. So when I first got there, like, because I spent a portion of the time there, I was staying in the house. You know what I mean? Then people go, let me take the room. You know what I mean? And we used to go out. We go out because I was out there for at least a month that time. I think that first time. I would go out at night because I was playing in the clubs and whatnot. Come back home 5, 6 in the morning, and like you said about the raid, they had their version of raid.
Yeah. And was it like bop?
I don't even know.
Barbados, we got bop.
Whatever it was, I don't even think it said cockroach. It was just a generic, probably right. But every night before I left to go out, we'd go in there and we'd spray. Both of us would have a spray. And spray all around the edges of the room, around the ceilings, all under the bed, here, there. To spray it out, and then when I come back in, you give it a spray. Because you spray it and you have to shut the door so you kill them off.
Keeps it off.
Because it's toxic, you can't breathe all that in. But the amount of that you have to spray, and where it's so hot out there, you know, 30, 31 degrees in midday, you know what I mean? So you have to spray it and leave it. And every night they're back. They just come back. After about a week or so, I was even faced by them no more, because I had my little net. And like I said, I wouldn't want one of them to come and crawl over me or anything, but I could sleep in the room with them because I know I had the net and they're not coming in my net. Well.
What, and you slept like sound asleep, slept?
I must have done, you know what I mean?
No.
I must have done, but yeah.
No.
But you would work out there, but you'd have to be in a 5-star hotel on the top floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So I can go, excuse me, room service. There's a creature in my room. Can you come get it, please? They'll be like, yep, 2 minutes, Miss Paris.
Room service?
In my 5-star, yeah.
I mean, they're so common out there. I don't know about the room service. They'll be like, what seems to be the problem, miss? You'd be telling like there's a cockroach. They'll probably come a couple of hours late. You'd have to go down to the reception and tell them again, because it's not a big thing. It's not a big thing. It's an everyday thing. You know what I mean?
Paying for my comfort.
No, you say that. You say you're paying for your comfort, but like I said, there's things what we think is like what we make a big song and dance about over here in England and other places. They just look at it and just okay, miss. And then they just walk off and laugh with their colleagues, because
I would have to play damsel in distress then, play on you.
You'd have to do something, because
weak points.
You know?
I would have to. There would have to be a serious fix to that situation, because I just, again, in Barbados, is like you have the millipedes and the centipedes, and even their bullfrogs are huge. I'm not scared of frogs.
Yeah.
Frogs don't faze me, but the size of them out there is just like, that's not normal. What are you? Like, that's just no. God wouldn't do that to me. He wouldn't create something so.
So which one? So hold on. If we're going from insects, ants, and spiders to the centipedes and bullfrogs. So it's the bullfrogs you don't like now.
Well, it's just,
so they're getting bigger. The animals are getting bigger.
Large And it was just, that was more of a dislike, but the centipedes and millipedes will come under as an insect. So I believe we already covered that category.
Okay, so you don't like them because you
Yeah.
know the centipedes are dangerous. They could kill you.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Is
some
that
of them.
real?
Some of them are dangerous.
How
Yeah.
do you know the difference between them?
I don't know. Centipedes got 100 legs, innit? Centipedes.
You think I'm around to count?
No, but I always thought centipedes, millipedes. I always just thought it was just one thing. I never knew. I never knew about millipedes. I just knew centipedes. And then obviously in Jamaica we have a thing called 40 legs because they got 40 legs. But I don't know what, you know, if it comes on the centipede or millipede, or if it actually has got 40 legs and they're different, or this is
just
cousin
not
or
necessary.
something to the millipede and that sort of stuff.
What is a centipede, millipede, 40 legs?
Well,
what are they contributing to this earth? What
fear.
What?
They're contributing fear.
To my fear and discomfort.
I went Barbados the first time, and the people I went with, they're from Barbados, and they were like, careful for the centipedes, or they're dangerous. So one day I hear in the flat above a bag of noise, so I went to see what I want, and the brother was there, step on it with his bare foot, the back of his heel, because he said he ain't messing about with it. It was a centipede. When I saw this thing, it was thick. It wasn't what I thought a centipede looked like. And I'm glad he done it, because I wouldn't want that crawling up, because they're saying that crawl up and go your ears and this.
Oh,
and
no.
So, yeah. Centipedes apparently are dangerous. You know?
Okay, well, thank you.
So,
I didn't know.
yeah.
It's bad enough
Give
I
me a
didn't like
spider
them.
any day. Even a bullfrog or frog, you know what I mean? I never liked them things, but they got a funny look to them, the bullfrogs and that. But
So here's a question for you. You're famous. ITV calls you. Hey, we'd like you to come on Celebrity. Get me out there. Because I think you're in Africa at the
what do you
moment.
mean, in the jungle?
At the jungle.
No, I'm not going nowhere, mate. I'm not going anywhere. You think I'm gonna leave my good place with my
But they
my
offer
nice
good money.
clean-
They're offering you good money
I'm good.
to do it.
I'm good.
Good money. That life-changing money. Any kind of project you wanted to do, any kind of money's covered.
I'm not selling out.
Sort it.
And let me get into that detail then. If it's a case of you go out there and no matter how long you go out there for, you're gonna get our money, then yeah, I'll go out there and I will dust out after the first day. The first day I go out there and I see any form of animal, snake, or kind of
But you never,
anything
know
like
the
that.
animals. They know about the snakes is when you got to put your hand in the box. Or
No,
something like
that's that. Well, that's me out in there. I'm not going. I'm not getting on the plane. I'm not putting my hand in a box.
See, I
with no
would more.
snake for nothing. You know what I mean?
If someone whispered to me when you got to do the hand in the box
No,
thing
sir.
that it's a snake in there, I'd put my hand in the box.
But if they don't tell you what's in the box,
If they didn't
don't
tell
you, do
me,
they? They don't.
no, they don't.
So you're telling me
instantly-
you're still gonna go out there and play these games, so you don't know what's in the box?
They wouldn't even get me on the plane.
Oh, okay. Now
This
you
is me. If they did manage to get me on the plane and they did manage to get me in the camp, and I couldn't tell you what kind of zeros had to be on the end of that figure to at least get me to that point, I would have to do like not a declaration, like a waiver to everybody, or a statement that you will starve with me. You will starve. And there's no apologies given, because I'm not letting put no bowl on my head to then empty a whole load of creatures on. I'm not laying down in no box for anyone to put some creepy crawlies on me. You will starve. Suspend me in the air and make me crawl across a ladder, cool. But the moment you're putting, you will starve.
Again, I don't get it. So you're telling me put you in the air, so you go skydiving and all them things there and jump out of plane and them
No,
things.
my stomach don't do well with them sort of things. But if there was a spider on the plane and the only way to save myself was to jump off, I'm jumping.
No, you're not. No. See, again, I don't see the logics. Just chill out, mate. Set up camp with the spider and thing and just land safely. Why are you going to jeopardize
trapped.
everyone on the plane?
To be trapped. Okay,
You seen that
True
movie,
story.
Snake on the Plane?
listen. True story. This is how. Okay, so we were a bit younger. It was we were on a packed 17 bus. When I tell you packed, you know when everyone 2 for 2 were upstairs. I was probably about 15, 16 at the time. So I wasn't an adult for anyone comes for me. But this is, I can't say my actions would be any different now. So me and my friend were on the bus. I've sat on the inside seat by the window. my friend has sat on the outside. Now, she's considerably smaller than I am. And just as I am, we're on our ride, the bus is going off, a spider crawls from over the seat in front of me. Now, the proximity to me and that's way too... there was no hesitation. I launched my friend onto strangers across the aisle so I could move from this spider. Like, I don't think people really grasp, like, the fear is real. I don't mean it to be real. I hate it. It's horrible. I would let anyone that wants to contribute to a GoFundMe page to pay for hypnosis, happily take it. Happily, because it can paralyze you, like, or it makes you hesitating to do other things. I don't know if anyone else is feeling me with this, but like, yeah, it's a real thing. And I always try, when people kind of not take it seriously, I always say it's no different than from someone with a fear of heights, someone who's got a paralyzing fear of heights. Like, we would take comfort and be like, oh no, don't worry, don't push yourself. It's the same. It's the same. In my eyes, it's exactly the same. Like, for me, it wouldn't bother me. I'd just, as long as there's a railing or something I can handle. And then people that like to go up them mountains with no edges and, no, that's just not for me. But if it was a secure situation, yeah, I don't mind it at all. But
yeah, I get it. I get it when you break it down like that, like the heights, people with fear of heights. Because, I mean, I don't get it because, like, and I'm going to give you some examples. I know people who say, oh, you won't get me on a boat. I'm fear of drowning and stuff. I wouldn't go on a cruise or nothing. But then they get on an airplane. And I'm thinking, but if you're on an airplane, you've got a double chance now because you could the plane could go down and you could land in water.
Yep.
At least if you're in the water, you're in the water already and you could jump into a lifeboat.
Yeah, but I think it's a thought of drowning, isn't it?
So
like,
what? You catch a plane and you think you can't drown on an airplane?
You don't think of crashing when you're... Because
I'm just trying to show the mindset, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But it's just like, I don't like needles, but I have tattoos.
A lot of men don't like needles.
Yeah, but we'll have tattoos.
True.
Which is a needle, how many times? But I think it's just... I don't know what it is. I'll be honest. I just needles.
Yeah, and again, I don't get it because, yeah, I think with everybody, it's just that initial prick, but once it's gone in,
it's done and dusted. But I think it's just like
don't having any injections for anything at all soon or anything like that, but I'm just saying.
It's not as bad as my spider fear by no means, because I'd give blood, I go, get injections, whatever. I just don't look and, crack on with my day, but...
But you don't think it's something, it all stems back to something what's probably happened as a young person, like something you saw a snake when you were young, or you saw a spider when you were young, and you got that fear and it stuck with you. It's a trauma what stuck with you. Most fears stem from something like that. What's happened?
Because you're not born with fear. Have you seen a very interesting clip on TikTok where this professor of some university, he did a study where he put it wasn't like newborns because they could sit up like 6-month-old babies and stuff in a room with snakes and stuff, and the babies were fine because babies inherit their fear from the reaction that the parent gives. So apparently it's something that we give off that they can pick up, and then their signals is that that's dangerous. So without that encounter, they put these babies in a room with snakes and stuff like that, and the babies were absolutely fine, just carried on playing like normal.
Yeah, they didn't know.
They didn't know. And I thought that was just... So you're right. It is a trauma of some sense from somewhere down the line.
But the snake, the snakes are deadly. Suppose the snake wrap around a kid now and rear the snake bite. I'm like, hopefully they never put it with a venomous snake, but from the snake got a tongue, it can still bite you. So
yeah,
it's like they say, even most animals, a dog, most dogs are men's dog best friend and stuff like that. You got dogs what are brilliant. They're lovely. They love kids. They love people. Full stop like that. You know what I mean? And then you have another dog what might be, a bit of a bad dog or something. It might be that breed of dog what's bad, or like, well, don't say bad. Dog people don't persecute me here. I'm not saying dogs are bad. I'm just saying, like, you know,
a dog with its own trauma that might have reacted in a negative way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like dogs, I like cats, and I get that people
And you like
have
snakes.
And yeah, I don't mind it. But again, I think like my dad really liked animals. Like, you know, I like watching David Attenborough and all of that. So I grew up watching all the wildlife programs and stuff like that. And like I said before, to my dad, when he was, you know, pretending to throw spiders on us and moths and stuff like that, to him that was funny. But like, not
so is that where your fears come from?
That's most definitely where the fear is, because I think with the snakes and, you know, lizards and stuff, he used to take us to this reptile shop. I think it was in Twyford at the time. He used to take us to this garden centre that had a reptile centre. And obviously, like, we would go and have a look at, and, you know, he took my daughter a couple of times when she was small as well. And she wants a snake. I don't want a snake as a pet.
Pet shops, like, I remember going in pet shops when I was young, and I didn't really, we all used to go in there as kids. There's something to do in it, I guess, but I don't think I really was into it, because there's something, especially back then, even when you get to the sections where you got, like, you know, the snakes in the tanks and stuff like that. How is that even legal? You know what I mean? No, I don't know about that.
They do that. So we've gone and held like some there, and my neighbours actually got corn snakes, and I've held their snakes, and they're beautiful.
But corn snakes, they're not real snakes. They're just like
they're a snake, but they're just
like
not
a big
very
worm
long.
And bit, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
they only grow to a certain length, which isn't, you know,
So
huge.
if you were walking across one of these fields, like local, like there's, like I said, there's adders all over this town. You know what I mean? Down by the river, you walk past snakes every day. You just don't know it. They're just there rustling, chilling out in the shade. You know what I mean? There's certain parts I could tell you in Reading where if I was there now, I could drive there, and in this heat, you would see a snake just chilling out.
Do you know what? If I saw a snake crossing my path, I don't think. I mean, my encounter with the snakes have always been in a controlled environment, so I don't know how I would actually, like, if I saw one in my house, like uninvited, you know, came up through the drain system or something, I'd probably freak out, because, you know, it's a snake where there shouldn't be a snake, and, you know, in a confined space, that would freak me out. But if I saw a snake cross my path, no, I don't think I'd react. And I don't know how I would react if multiple snakes was probably surrounding
You'd be
me.
like, is that a snake? And
world environment.
And be unfazed. You'd be unfazed.
I'd be unfazed. If it just literally crossed my path, oh my God, was that a snake?
So if that was me and you walking, and we're walking, and it's like a river walk or something, and you'd be unfazed. I'm turning around, because if the vehicle's not too far back, that walk's finished now. You know what I mean? Because why am I walking into the what we'll say, Daniel walking into the lines then? Why am I?
Yeah. See, no, yeah. In a,
why don't I want to go into their habitat?
Because it's in a wild environment. I'd be cautious. I'd be like, oh, mine, there's some snakes there. Like, no, let's walk round. But no, it wouldn't stop me from walking forward. But if it was like there's a spider dangling off a tree over there, no, we're getting in the car and we're going home.
Yeah, I don't.
Pick another park.
I still don't get it.
I know. But I think that's just what it is. Dad used to bring home hedgehogs, and like one time I think he found a bird's nest, and he brought that home, and, you know, we ended up having to feed maggots to birds and stuff because they were baby birds. So, and, you know, like I said, he had hedgehogs. Like, for some reason, we just had a collection of hedgehogs and stuff. So I'd go out and you'd feed them cat food and stuff like that.
Pet hedgehog.
Pet. Quite a few, yeah.
In the garden. And
he's always been like that. When you hear stories from his sisters and stuff, like, they would always say about how he would find animals and bring them home. So I think my interest, well, not even an interest, I don't have an interest in them, but I think because, except for snakes, but I've held snakes and stuff like that, that's where it is. But the insect side of things just comes from an unfortunate sense of humor.
Yeah, it's weird because some people just gravitate and they love animals no matter what it is. When I was living in IB for around about 10 years ago, for that year, or the majority of the year, there was this one guy, I call him the animal guy, and he kind of freaked me out, this guy. He reminded me of one of these guys from, I don't know if you remember, an old TV program called Monkey Magic. Kung Fu program, anyhow. So this guy, he just had a face like this guy, Monkey. But he had a monkey. He also had a snake. and he had like one of them lizard iguana looking things.
Iguana.
So
Or a bearded dragon.
he used to come around the clubs, the venues. So there's one club where I was resident in, and he used to come in there every single night, yeah. And at first he just used to have the lizard thing. Then he had this pet monkey. And as I say this, anyone who's been in San Antonio and Ibiza, they would know, they would have seen him, you know what I mean? And he'd come out and he'd just walk up and down the strip, and then if somebody looked and took interest, then he'll approach you. And the man I never heard the man speak yet. He never really talked, you know what I mean? And he'd take it off and, do you want to put on your shoulder, whatever, probably charge you €5 and picture moment, that stuff like that. But then all of a sudden, like, he was running the lizard thing for a while. Then he had the monkey. Then all of a sudden one day he must have thought, oh, I'm going to bring out the big boy. Bring out the snake. Oh. So he's coming around the clubs with a snake, and how he used to do it, the snake, he had it trained so well. The snake used to coil itself around his neck. The tail used to be in his shirt, and the head of the snake would be just sticking out. So I'm thinking, is this man nuts? You know what I mean? I don't even know what kind of snake it is, but that man, just him himself, he used to freak me out. There was something about him.
The Tarzan of his day.
He was definitely the IB for Tarzan, right? And I remember one evening, I wasn't working, one evening I was walking down the steps, or up the steps, out of one of the venues, and he was coming down the steps. And it's like, every time I saw that man, it's like we made this eye contact, and everything's in slow motion. And he's coming down the stairs, I'm coming down the stairs, and as we're crossing on that big step halfway down, I'm looking, and when I catch his eye and he catches my eye, I see the snake's head just, and I'm like, nah. I just had to leave. I had to get out of that place, you know what I mean? But that man freaked me out, and I'm thinking, this man, what did he do when he's at home? This snake just crawl about in bed with him, and the monkey jumping around. I'm thinking, what's going on in his house?
Yeah. Probably a very controlled environment, or you would hope it's a very controlled environment that he has, the right setup for them. But I don't know. There are special people. There are special people that can, have that range of animals and feel quite so. Because you've got to think monkeys. Well, depending on what type of monkey it is, you hear that through their mating all season.
Little baboon thing, little small little thing. What can say his shoulder.
Have you there's this TikTok where this I think it's a baboon or a monkey ninja just comes and rips the hair off of this man, and like the whole scalp and everything comes off with it, and it's just like, so they can be quite vicious and very strong. So the fact that he's got these range of animals is thing. Talking about TikTok, sorry to just change the subject, and this is changing the subject quite drastically. Just going on to the TikTok and that sort of thing though. Have you seen that video? Of the man getting shot on live.
I think it was Jamaica.
Like,
yeah,
unbelievable.
It's not the first these things happen.
But it was just like, just as we were just talking about that TikTok and that video, it just made me think of that, and I just thought, my gosh.
Yeah, it's surreal.
That's quite shocking.
It's surreal. The guy was on a Zoom or he was on a TikTok live, it looks like. Don't quote me on that, because I have TikTok, I don't really go on it too tough. But there was a video where the guy was talking to his friend. You can see it's still online, you know what I mean? So he's talking to his friend. He steps back from the camera, and it's like music's playing. It looks like he's going to dance. He's going to bust a little dance move so his friend can see it. And within about 2 seconds, a man just come up behind him, and you just hear gunshots. The first gunshot was obviously blurred out.
Yeah.
But that went into that part of him, and he was not here no more,
And it's a very sad, tragic story, especially in terms of the way it happened and on a live. So obviously you don't know who was watching, age range, I mean, for any age, that must have been extremely.
Yeah, because the friend who was watching it, I don't think he realised what happened, because he's watching it because he could see both. It's a split screen, and he's watching it, and the guy's, what's happened to the guy, and his friend's still there, and it took him like 2 or 3 seconds to realise, and then he kind of like moved himself out of the picture because he thought maybe the shooter might have saw his face or something. I don't know. But when he realized what happened to his friend, he pulled away out of the video, but still in the frame. And that's as much as I saw, you know?
And it just kind of like when I saw it, it was just kind of like, it's shocking at first. I mean, it is when you have to watch a couple of times to really capture everything that's kind of happening. But then it's just like, now, I don't mean any offense in anything that I am going to say. This is strictly my opinion only. But it's like, it does make you think, what is the background there? Like, for one, the bravery of that. Did they not realize that the person was on live or was recording or didn't see the phone or
Doesn't
the
look
friend?
like they care about anything like that.
Just to be so brazen. And then the second, obviously, like I said, I watched it a couple of times, was just the level of intensity of his actions in terms of the
He wasn't
criminal.
phased. He doesn't look phased.
He doesn't look phased, but the amount of times that he pulled the trigger, that's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if it was, you know, I mean, you've got to look at all aspects in these kind of situations. You have to understand that there are people out there that are unwell and can do those sort of things. Just in general, just walk past, unalive someone and carry on walking. And then there's, you know, could be some sort of gang related. Then there's
It definitely wasn't random.
I mean,
Well,
it was to do that
not.
intensity.
Not. Shouldn't say hope not. It doesn't look like it was random because to how the guy was unfazed about it, it's like it's like this whole era of like everyone's a bad man. They don't care. So people are. I'm going to prison for whatever. Or I don't care if I'm going to prison or I'm going to run or whatever. But you know, maybe he wasn't aware that he was on a live, or regardless if he was aware or not, he had no care in the world. He was doing what he was going to do. You know, you're going to get caught because you're not exactly covered up or anything like that.
So brazen.
You know what I mean?
So brazen. And I don't think he is even aware, or if he is, again, just the brazenness of it. But
if that was Jamaican, I believe it was because of the, you know, the accent of the two guys in the video. Once police in Jamaica find that guy, they're just going to shoot him dead anyhow. So no, that's it. Police in Jamaica, they're not locking you up. You've shot somebody. They're not looking for you to talk to you. You're getting killed when they find you. You're getting shot.
yeah.
So,
and to do it, because I mean, I don't know how true this is. I can only state from, you know, allegedly from what I saw on the video, they were saying that it was an artist's son. I can't even remember what the song is now. But they were saying that he was like a Jamaican artist's son that got unalived on the live. So I can imagine, you know, even more so justice will need to prevail.
wow.
If that fact is true. If that in fact is true, that it is a,
So I didn't even read that part of the details when I saw it. I never. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's scary. It's scary in the sense that, you know, and it's always that age-old question of, is the level of violence getting worse, or is it as we're getting older, we're just noticing and understanding more of what is happening around the world? We never had the internet growing up. Now we have the internet, which is a vast universe of information. More than probably we know what to do with it at times. Now we've got the introduction of AI, which is just going to expand, because now you won't be able to tell real news to fake news, because with AI generation now, people are out there and can say and mimic and create anything. Mm-hmm. So is it a case now of the level of violence has always been at the same rate? It's just a case of, as we've gotten older, we understand now news and reports of stuff? Or is it a case of, no, it's getting worse?
I think that level,
now, you know,
I mean, the level of badness and violence has always been around. We're talking about you going back to the early 1900s. There's always been villains and gangsters who done crazy things. Yeah, so it wasn't televised back then.
Yeah.
So it's always been around, but I do also believe in this day and age and think about it. Back then, when there was villains and gangsters, there weren't no TV, probably had radio. I don't know when these things were invented to be exact, but kids like the bad men back then, they were gangsters. You know, that's where the term gangster originated. They were gangsters. But at the same time, I don't know, the kids, boys will be boys that still look up to them. That man was cool or whatnot. But now it's just, the youngsters are watching these things on like you say, it's available everywhere. It's available on TikTok, it's available on YouTube, it's available on TV, it's available in kids' games. It's everywhere. So it is a lot more. It's definitely a lot more. And there's people who are good people who do these stupidness, like the guy who did what he did. Maybe he was just a regular everyday somebody and he's just watched too much madness and he's taking it in like, oh, this is real life, I could do that. And I think a lot of these boys and kids and men, and I say boys because some of the men, they are still boys, just crap what they're doing, you know what I mean?
It's also scary because I was having this conversation today, like the level of input that media can have on our children. And I say our children because everyone is someone's child. So when you go from, whether this person had a personal beef with them or they did it and out of the, so whether or not the person had a personal beef with them or they did this in a sense of, I don't know, some sort of social media thing trying to, I don't know, think they'll get famous from it or something. Not hopefully, you don't hope for something like that, but the thought of it being a social media plot or tactic scares me more than if it was at least a vengeance kill or an issue beef, whatever it is. Because, and then going back to what I was going to say is so my conversation was that the level of social media input that have an effect on the kids, like where do we as parents come forth and be like, well, we have to have some level of responsibility with that. Like when you're gifting your child a phone, and I've noticed, like, my daughter didn't get a smartphone until she was 14, 15 years old. They were around very much her whole life, but you don't need a smartphone. Why do you need who you calling?
No, you don't.
At 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, 11, 12, and she had a phone, don't get twisted. She
I think
had
the
like
first
a very
phone should be a very basic phone.
Very basic. All you need to do is call and
send a text.
That is it. You were catching the bus on your own, so
that's all
that was a level of safety. Because if you weren't catching the bus, you wouldn't even had that. I'll be honest with you. You had Game Boy, you had DS, you had all of these, games consoles. You didn't need a mobile phone. Mm-hmm. And all of this, oh, mum, can I play with your phone? No, my phone is not your toy.
Yeah.
Like that's how my child grew up.
Yeah, but
so
some people say, oh, but you're old fashioned because if we give them a phone with a camera and anything goes down, they could take a picture and that. But it's not about that. I think, like you said, a phone is a communication tool. I know phones have evolved, but yeah, phone. If you're on speed dial, the number, you give them the phone, you put your number in it, you put other family members in it, maybe a good
teach your
friend.
Child to run to a neighbour's house and whatever. Everyone's got a Ring doorbell now, so you can just go.
But you know what it is? You get them one of them phones. Narrative. You get them one of them phones, and they feel shame because all their other friends have got phones, iPhones, Android phones. But most of the kids at that age, they probably get their first phone will be like an old Android we had in the cupboard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and they'll be glad for it anyhow. Still,
they'll be glad for it. Well, no, not this generation.
When they first get it, they'll be glad for it. But as soon as they get to school and everyone's got the latest, that's when they're not glad for it anymore.
No, because they know from the time they get to school. If you're saying when they first get it, if you're hitting primary school, and even then primary school, you got to be looking at maybe 7, 8, 9. Once you hit that 10, 11, they're clued up. Once they hit, the 12, 13, 14, 15, you try and give them anything less. they would rather. I remember the phone she had when I would ring her and stuff. She would miss the phone calls because she didn't want to pull her phone out in front of her friends. I don't care about your friends or
That was
whatever
the
it is.
style. That was the
do you know what I
style,
mean?
yeah.
So like they understand and they know when that embarrassment and whatever out. So. And I would say that it wasn't peer pressure for my daughter, but it was that whole thought of like, oh, I don't want her to be picked on
But
because she's not.
like the materialistic values at that age when it's materialistic is already clicking in because they haven't got the latest. Yeah, they've got a phone. But they're not seeing it from the point where you're seeing it from. You just need a phone to call me. If you're going to be late out or what, if it's something, blah, 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 call me. Yeah. You might as well give them one of what they used to call them the granny phones. So it's got 3 big buttons and you put speed, like a speed dial.
Yeah.
So, emergency,
Press
son, neighbor, blah, blah. You just press the 3 and they're hot, quick dials. You know what I mean? So there's nothing on it. No internet, no camera. It's just literally big buttons, 3 hot dials. That's what they need, but they're not good. They're not good at it. And you know what it stems to as well now, like so. Them not having a smartphone and everybody else having a smartphone. Do you think it's also like what? All right, then mom don't want to buy me a phone. Dad don't want to buy me a phone. I'm getting my own money, and then they pick up bad company and they start doing bad things to get their own money. And then when they realize, oh, we can make money. Doing funny things, and then from a very young age they're doing very funny things, and then look. So
and unfortunately it could be a root of an evil that we don't know where it could spread, but then in the same breath, like we like, how do I say this delicately? In the same breath, we have parents that are giving their children at whatever age mobile phones. Some of them will be responsible and put restricted access on them. Others will just hand the phone over as is. So then with that as is child, they have full access of the internet as if they were an adult. When they go to school and they hear certain things, from friends, whatever the topic is at the school, they have full access to be able to look it up for themselves. And then that's when I feel like those programs like Adolescence come in, where they're all of that secret conversation and stuff like that. You shouldn't know about them sort of things there.
Oh yeah, but you see, like you could always tell how would I put it, a fast kid. Yeah, you go around.
Back in the day, you could.
Yeah, back in the day. When I say back in the day, it's up to. When you say back in the days, what are you talking about? Back in when you were young, or are you talking about 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
I think it was easier. So my back in the day would probably be reference to when I was at school. When I was at school, you knew who was the fast children to who weren't. Mm-hmm. You knew. Like, I mean, I can't sit here and say I was no angel. I pushed my boundaries in terms of my behavior with teachers. But anything else outside of that, like, no. My mum, she was that mum. She was on us. She knew. So, like, I didn't have that level of freedom. However, like, I had friends that did have freedom. When I was at school, like, whether the parent was home or not, they were allowed friends of all kinds. And do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, not to say that they were, like, fast, but you had some liberal parents and you had some non-liberal parents.
The fastness, but, like, have you ever noticed, like, I've seen some parents who I would say aren't the best example. Mm-hmm. Like, sort of anything goes, and, like, I would say whatless.
The ones that want to be their child's friend.
Not as a parent, just whatless in general. Mm-hmm. Yeah? And then you see the reflection, like, it doesn't always go this way. You have some people who are whatless and their kids turn out to be the most brilliant
sensible,
person. Yeah. So I don't know where the genetics come into it or whatnot. And then you see other people are just whatless, and then when the kid's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you just know that kid is fast, and you know where it's.
And you hear the parents shouting at the kid halfway down the road. The kid's still running. The parents just there, like, not really moving, and you're just like, boy.
Yeah.
it's hard to parent now though. It's I you know, it nowadays children have so much power, and I will say that children have a lot of power. And it's hard to navigate your parental power around that child's power, because in some areas their power trumps yours. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's not based on facts or real, you know, all it takes is that one whisper or a little something to the teacher, and you know your parental power is diminished.
Yeah.
You've got to now prove yourself as a parent.
Well, gone are the days, isn't it?
Based off, you know, and I get it, because there are some children in real need that needs that response and that quick time, and I get it. No one's got a crystal ball. No one knows how to really define who's who in them situations. But sometimes you think people or teachers should use logic, especially if they, you know.
Again, it goes down to the teacher's personal views on the situation. They might make up their mind. They might, you know. Everyone's just human at the end of the day. So if the teacher already got their nose turned up at you because they don't, for whatever reason, they think you're who you're not, or they might not like you because you drive a car, you look nice, or you know, whatever the reason. So they was some people to side with where they want to side with, and you know, nothing really you could do about that as such. But
that is very true. That is very, because teachers are just people.
Yeah, they're just people.
So they have their opinions and they have their little ways, and it's a little bit truer nowadays as well, because I just feel like with secondary schools especially, it's like I get it in a weird way. Teachers have given up. You know, the lack of pay. You know, you're dealing with 11-year-olds to 15, 16. You know, 17, 18 if they're on sixth form, and kids are. Can I say the word bastards? Like, you know, kids can be horrible.
Teachers they're
lovely and beautiful creatures, and we love our children dearly, but they are extremely stressful beings. And that's we can say that as a parent to our child. You're an extremely stressful being. If we're saying that and we're supposed to love this child unconditionally, I couldn't even imagine what a teacher's got to deal with when there is no love unconditionally there, and the child is still being a certain way towards you. So I get it, but then on the other side of things, I think you studied for nearly 10 years to do this role. You know exactly what you were getting into. So when it comes to children and their challenges that might happen in a classroom, which aren't, in my opinion, compared to when you saw kids with real challenges and, you know, dashing chairs across the classroom and smashing windows or just punching up someone because they didn't like the way they looked at them. Yeah. Those are the sort of things that happened in my classroom. I can't say that they don't happen now, but things I'm hearing kids getting put in isolation for, kicked out the class for food. It's just like, no.
It don't make sense, because like we go back, like when I was at school, there was a couple of kids like that who were bad. They were that bad. They got expelled. There was times when I literally had to, me and a friend of mine had to save the headmaster, because the guy got expelled, and he came back to the school one lunchtime. He just walked in, and he was, you know, he was looking to kill the head teacher. Yeah. And because me and my friend, we had to kind of like calm him down and prevent it from happening. And so you knew who the bad kids were then, but now, and that was just like one. So if you're in a school of like 600 people back then, maybe there was like 10 bad kids.
Yep.
Or 3 extremely, they're bad. Yeah. And they're you know, and I've seen how those guys' lives panned out as well. You know what I mean? So same thing they were doing then at school, they're just doing it now in jail. Yeah.
Surprise.
So there's no surprise with that. What you were saying earlier about teachers, like any teacher who's teaching now, and especially teaching secondary school, I give them props, because they got a lot to deal with and have to be able to, you know, hold themselves without like losing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, because you can only say certain things, but then you've got secondary teachers, they're cussing the kids same way.
Cussing the kids like your brethren.
They F and blie at the kids, and because the kids are giving it to them and they're giving it back to them, and that's how it's going on. So I wouldn't want to know how a school is in South London or anywhere really. I'm not even, you know what I mean?
I was going to say is anywhere
Yeah.
because, like I think I don't know how true this is. So anyone that's a teacher, please let me know if this is actually true. Because if it is, then I have no idea what kind of society we're living in at the moment. So if there are two children fighting in a school, the teachers cannot break up that fight. Because if a pupil then turns around and makes any claim against that teacher don't want none of it. So now, and again, I don't know how true this is. This is something that I've heard, a situation in a school particularly, as this was the response. So I don't know if this is across the board or this was just a very singular case. But the explanation as to why they did not break up a fight of a girl getting absolutely pounded on by two other girls was because if the teachers would try to break up the fight and one of the girls would then be able, if a girl could make a claim that
that the teacher pulled them and hurt
or
their
touched
arm
them or something, they would be open to an allegation, and they don't want to do that.
So again now,
so wait,
like
you're going to
said,
watch a child get beat on?
What I'm saying is right then. The
So
teachers have given up.
That's what I think, and I'm so sorry. And I don't mean to diminish your. And I don't think
but
I'm diminishing, but I don't mean to like talk on your subject like I'm it. I know I can't be a teacher. I know I haven't got the patience. I don't have the want, and I don't have the skill. I couldn't personally do it because of, I suppose, the vast personalities that come with teenagers, and you're catching them at their worst time. That's hormone ridden, male or female, like maybe don't understand life as it is, and just quite, so you're already catching a human being at its most challenging time. So even more so, like I know you do a hard work. I know you don't get paid very well for it, but in the same breath, teaching how it once was to how it is now is just declining. And again, even once again, my daughter, like even down to the what happened to when you recognized a kid with potential, you would give them harder work to see where their potential would actually go, and then if warrant be, you would move that kid up a class because obviously they're not supposed to be in this class. They excel what I am teaching. They don't do that anymore either. So again, what's happening to,
unless your teacher's pet?
Even then, I don't think it is. I think one time I inquired about it and I got told that if my child was of an exception, then I must get her tested. Once I have that result, then they would consider moving her up a class. It didn't matter the fact that she was just acing the class. No, I needed proof that she was an exceptional student.
I thought that's school's job. Like,
would you? But again, the level. While she was at primary school, there was a time where I've had to go into the school and just be like, are you listening to her read? Because she's blowing through these books. There is not even a hesitation in pronunciation, anything. Mm-hmm. So I'm, as the parent, is having to go and say to the teacher, she needs to be moved up. I think it was like the color groups, you know, they were on like pink and blue and whatever else. She ended up moving up like 3 or 4 color groups. And it's just like, well, what were you doing all this time? When, you know, but they don't listen to them read individually anymore now. Now it's group reading. I remember a time when, in me, primary school, you read individually with, and it used to be a volunteer teacher, like a volunteer person that would come in and listen to the kids read. And you had your reading book where they had to date it and say like how well you did with reading. Mm-hmm. And then your parent had to sign it to say that they did some reading with you. All gone now.
Yeah, because I'm going to, what you said earlier, I was going to go back to that, like teachers, and I'll also say like security guards in shops. It's like they're both giving up. They're just going to work. And this, like I said, no disrespect to the teachers, because I you know, the fact that you could be in these classrooms with these unruly kids, I give you, you know, props 100%. And we need people like you doing it because it's got that bad. So I suppose half of them don't want to be there no more but they love for what they're doing. They put up with it. So that's what I'm saying. I give them the props here. But like security guards, people come in the shop, they steal adults, kids. They don't even bother. 2 days ago, I was in Tesco's. I'm coming through the door and I hear the thing going beep, beep, beep. But I know I'm good, you know what I mean? Security guards looking at me. but he's not looking at me. He's looking past me at the guy who's got an empty trolley, but a rucksack full of Tesco's goodies on his back. So when the security guard walks up to him casually, the security guy's got his hands in his pockets, and he's walked up to him and he says something to him, 2 words, and all of a sudden the guy pushes the trolley and says, "What? I've paid for it," and runs out the shop and runs out the doors. Down. So you've paid for an empty trolley.
Yeah.
What's beeping? Your rucksack, you could clearly see is bulging, and no disrespect to the guy, he did look like maybe he wasn't living anywhere. So he stole because he knows that he could steal, and he's not gonna get. Nothing's gonna happen to him. The security guards, I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it in the co-op. I've seen it everywhere. The security, some of the guys will come out and if they see them all the time, they challenge them and say, "You again," blah blah blah, But most of the people, they're just going through it. They just get paid, keep their nose out of business. I see security back in the days. Security in clubs are the same. They just, we don't want no trouble. But gone are the days where security, you go to a club or something like that, and you're carrying on bad. The security will bounce you the hell out of that club, or you're not even coming in. They'd look at you and they'll just say something, "No shoes, mate, not coming in."
Yeah.
Then now fights going down, whatever. The people are badding up the security. You know what I mean?
I always used to wonder when we used to have certain clubs, certain nights in Reading and stuff like that, and you would know who the trouble. You would know. They might as well slapped a "I am the troublemaker" sign on their forehead, but yet you would still let them in. Mm-hmm. And then
but they were badding up the security.
But
and some of these guys were young, and they were badding up the security.
The reason they were badding up the security,
they want to mind their own business. They want to get paid. They don't want to be in a mix-up because they know they get problems. Because
I don't even think it's that.
No, they know these boys, they will come and they will wait for them. They will bad them up after work, and they can't go back to their job. They know that these guys would terrorize them, and they don't want the trouble. They just want to get paid.
It's not a case of, well, I'm sure it is.
So they shouldn't be doing that job.
But in those kind of scenarios that I'm talking about, when we used to have nights and stuff like that, the problem was the bouncer was known. So you're friends with everyone. So you're going to go and let your people in and whatever else. Whereas, and then when it comes to trouble and whatever else, you know, the promoter or whoever's hosting the night and whatever will be like, Vex, killed my night, whatever. But then it's like, realistically, if you want to be serious about this situation, get out of town bouncers. Get the big boys, pay that money, because at the end of the day, you'll make more money. I'm presuming, I'm not a promoter, I don't know. If your night goes on longer, people are buying the drinks, they're coming in, and this is back in the day when nightclubs were on till like 4 or 5 in the morning. So doors didn't shut till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. So, surely it would make more sense that if you did get the big bully bouncers out, you don't give 2 craps who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you're told don't let these people in, you're not coming in regardless. Like
this security. You got different levels of the security. You got security who do Tesco's. You got nightclub security.
I don't want
you got the securities who are standing up outside. I
need them silent big boys called Tiny.
But the thing is, once the people get their badge, and I don't know if the badge comes in 2 different levels or 3 or how many they come in. Some of these people, they're just getting that badge, and they, like you said, they're coming in, and they probably, most probably can throw a couple of punches. But when they're in that situation, nobody don't want no trouble. Nobody don't want to be in a nutting with nobody because it's a fear of someone's going to pull something out on you. And then it's not. They don't. Nobody. They just want to. Most people just want to get paid. I've seen. That's it. People just want to get paid and mind their own business.
That's the society now. Because I think even when I was still working in retail, and this is going back from a long time. Like I used to work in a shop that would get robbed quite often, basically, and it got to a point of where the police would actually say, kind of like,
nothing we could do.
We can't really do anything, and not so much stop calling us out, but
they do. They do say that.
It needs to be a certain value before you can call them out. And unfortunately, it was just
So what is the point of security at the moment? Because if the security is not touching no one, it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent. But it's not a deterrent.
It's not worth your life. That's what it's put at. The cost of the product is not, even Apple, I think, even say it to their store members and stuff. Do not chase after anyone that steals, because it's not worth your life.
But I don't
because
even
nowadays people will you got to think, back in the day, people used to just punch or maybe fight their way out of a situation and run, even drop the stuff and run. Now, they're not dropping that stuff. They will stab you. They will dash acid on you. They will do what for what would be probably less than £100 worth of something.
Yeah.
But people don't think, is it worth it? They just think violence to get what it is that they need. If they feel like they need that in that given moment for whatever reason, they're doing what they need to do. And unfortunately, people don't know how to fight. No, not to say that they should, but where we're in a day and age now where everyone's a winner, and it's all right, and they're there, and we must protect the children's feelings. Then you following clear, precise instructions that could possibly save your life. No. Now children have opinions, and we must listen to that, despite their age. Like, get it when they're a little bit older. Let's converse, let's debate it. But no, I'm not going to listen to a 5-year-old's opinion about whether or not they want to do something. No. You are going to go and do what it is that I've asked you to do, because that is how you teach. Because I have to constantly remind my daughter, me and you are not friends, and we are not equal.
You're never in that size.
Yeah. So, it's unfortunate like that people are going to immediately go to the higher level of violence. They're not going to weigh out, this is a £50 thing, drop it and just run. No.
But the security I don't think the security have any authority of detain. What is it? They can't really touch you or detain you as such. They could. I think they have to kind of like ask you to voluntarily empty your pockets. They can't search you or put their hands on you as such, can they? No, you have to ask them to empty. Yeah. Well, it was back in the day. I don't know. I think people just people know the law too much now. The criminals know the law too much. I mean, the good ones do. No, they do. They honestly, they do know it. They know. They still get themselves catch, but they know the law to effect, like, you can't touch me, you can't do this and that. So you have to tell them to come with me, sit them in a room, and hopefully they sit in a room and voluntarily wait for them police to come and find it on them. That's why they're throwing it, running it out and whatnot. Because when the police come and even though they got their face on camera, police ain't going to search them down unless they're a known criminal and they see them 10 minutes later. They even know. I'll go as far to even tell you this. This is a true story. I was on shift that day. So a woman was stealing from the shop that I was saying. Caught her, called police. Imagine when the police were trying to escort her out of the building. She defecated on the floor so that they couldn't search her and carry her out. So that's how much they know the law. They know that even in them scenarios, I suppose it's because it's bodily waste, it's hazardous, So hold on, but what's that got to do with the goods? Well, if they can't, who's going to touch you if you covered in muck? I know I ain't. No goods. Listen, keep the goods. Have it. Go along. If you want more, here you go. Just come out my store. Like, to the extent of where they know certain actions that if it's this is about to go down, well, I'm going to delay it as much as possible. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, and now stop the madness. All this madness. Going back to the kids and the school and all that though, like gone are the days when the kids then was out of order, like all right, we know that nowadays you can't discipline people apart from physically discipline people, and I'm not saying that people forget licks or beat or anything like that, but one of the days when you used to mess about, like the man across the road, he's gonna pull you by your ear and bring you back to your yard and give you 2 licks on the way. Mm-hmm. Wash out him out with soap and all them thing there, and come and explain yourself in front of your parents. And you can't explain yourself because you're wrong and you've been strung up, brought back home, and then when you get inside, you know what I mean. One nowadays, for the embarrassment and one for the actual act. Yeah. But the thing is, nowadays, someone go and discipline you when you carry them to the yard. You'll be like, "Well, who's Charlie licking?" Blah blah blah, and it's the other way around. So, where did it flip from this kid's out of order and needs some manners, and I'm doing you a favor because it's shame on your family, shame on you that the kids doing what they're doing to.
That's all gone. Not to be
It's
like,
flipped
woe
all the
is
way
me,
round.
but we're not trying to say, beat your children, da, 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 da.
No.
But there are, because I think now everything's got a label. So when you label something, I suppose then you're not restricted, because when they labeled smacking your child as you being the next baby P mother, that kind of put a big kind of cloud over it now. So, and I don't think anyone really knows a lot. You can smack your child with an open palm as long as you don't leave any marks and you don't use any form of, weaponry.
Yeah, you know it's going to mark.
Like,
some people bruise easy, innit? You can't.
some people do, but it's unfortunate if you got one of them kids, even though how open palmed you might have been. Like, it's unfortunate, because it is that if it does show a mark, then obviously it doesn't matter that their skin might be very fair or whatever, because you got some people.
So that rule doesn't even make any
used
sense.
To get pinched as well.
That rule don't make sense. Then it's a grey area. It don't make sense.
It's a grey area, but I think that's their way of kind of getting in. Oh well, you can, but you can't really.
But who?
That's what was told to me. That's the area. It was a case of you can open palm, but you cannot leave any marks. So I suppose it's one of those 2-finger, don't do that. Which, if you got a real hard zoo, that's not really going to be doing anything. But I think that's the terminology.
So it makes no sense anyway.
The little 2-finger palm smack on any
the
age kids.
This 2-finger palm smack. What's that going to work on? Like, what you going to do that to like a 4-year-old? Like, just tap them like you're tapping them with a cotton bag. Yeah, maybe that might put a little bit of fear in them. Yeah, but
when they get to about 8 or 9, that 2-finger pattern really gonna bring the message home.
At 3-4 years old, you could just look at them a certain way and they behave. If they're kicking up a tantrum or I understand
that comes with patterned behavior, patterned learned behavior.
Yeah.
Because I saw a really funny clip, sorry, going back to TikTok, where it must have been a daughter on one of those leads, and it must have been her brother filming her, and she's screaming. I think it was on TikTok.
No, you said on the arm.
So you can get those, like it's a child restraint, but it straps around the hand rather than it being around the body.
Oh yeah.
So she's like pulling at this thing that's around her wrist, but the brother must be like telling her to kind of come on. But he's filming her crying, screaming down the store.
Mm-hmm.
2 toots now, you see, and I think the caption is something like the mum death stare. And then 2 toots, he palms to the mum. The mum is just looking at the child is silent. After screaming with the brother, as soon as mum come, silence. And I thought, long gone are the days of being able to rule your child like that. I remember I tried to give my child the stare. She just looked at me like, why are you looking at me like that? Stop looking at me like that. And I'm thinking, this stare is supposed to work. My mum had it patterned. She had us control two of us controlled with that one stare. That's levels.
Did you used to get immune to the stare? No.
Immune? No, because if you tried to imagine the stare was like a boundary. If you thought you were brave enough to continue your behavior after you got that stare,
so
it weren't worth it.
So that means.
But again, back then, and I have to tell this to my daughter as well, that when I try and say generations are different, she's like, oh, you always bring it down to generations, because it is.
It is.
Like back in again, when I was younger, if you were to if social services was called to your house and you turned around and said, my mummy, when I'm naughty, my mummy doesn't give me any dinner, I can imagine social services would say, yeah. Well, why are you being naughty? Stop being naughty and you get some dinner.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was common to go to bed hungry if you did something wrong, or if you were, out of turn behavior, you went to bed hungry, and it was fully authorized across all levels of government, social services. It was just a normal way of, disciplining your child. You did something wrong, you went to bed hungry. If you tried to do that today, I guarantee you the social services will tell you cannot do that. That would be some form of cruelty, abuse, something.
Everything's got rights right now. I mean, I don't know, sometimes in certain situations, your pet's got more rights than a human.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this society has gone a certain way, and I don't think this is like this worldwide. You know, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think in certain what we call third world countries, third world maybe, but is that what you want to call it? But I think there's still a lot of values in certain places.
Yeah, I think,
and it's not looked at as.
And again, we're not talking about actual child abuse. You know,
No.
beating the crap out of your kid and you know, taking and cutting their skin with whips and all of them sort of things. We and I know someone will say that. Oh well, what's the difference? I'm not here to entertain those people. I'll be honest. You either grew up in it and understand it, or you just don't. There's no way to kind of understand because I'm here. You know, and I'll be honest, as an adult, I could look back at a lot of my behavior that I was when I was younger and be like, I was fully justified to catch them lashes. Like, I was a naughty kid. So, do you know what I mean? And I did learn my boundaries. I learnt my respect. I learnt not to talk back to my mum, not even so much as a, oh, or why. I mean, I'm sure her stories would be different, but it was that, you know, if you, mum, can I go out and play? No. As much as you'd be disappointed, you had to leave it as that.
Yeah, you just have to vex and sit down.
And just take it. It was no why. Why can't I? But I want to. There was none of that. There was none of that. She said no. Mum said no, guys. Sorry. Do you know what I mean? And when your friends used to say, but just tell her. Just tell her. There was no
that
telling my
come in
mum.
your mind. You just...
I cannot. I don't know how to illiterate to you. I don't
That's
tell
That's
my
line.
mum
That's
anything. Like, unless it's information, I can't tell her what to. It doesn't even enter my mind thought. Even as a big woman now, I still wouldn't tell my mum what to do. Like, no. Whereas there are full-grown parents out there now where their kids would tell them when they're going to clean their room, when they're going to wash up, when they're going to
behind them
no.
like dodos, mate.
Right.
I don't like to see that. To be fair.
And I remember this golden line: if your child does not respect you as the parent, that child will respect nobody as anyone.
You lost.
No person on this planet that child is really going to respect, because if you can't even respect fundamentally your parents, unless I know that there's going to be exceptions, you know, if you parents have been bad to the kid and the kid still grows up nice in a perfect society of the world and very well mannered, I know there are going to be exceptions to the clause. But get the gist of what I'm saying. If you have kids that don't even respect, that can tell you shut up, or worse, your child does not respect you. If they can outright tell you've asked them to do something and they've told you, shut up, get out my room, and slam the door and all of that, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck. Good luck. Because, again, it's mad. But, yeah, hopefully we'll get better.
Well, another episode. The Random Podcast Show. With Esther.
With Esther, Be True
Paris. And myself, Rudie Rich. Randomly speaking with Rudie Rich.
And Be True Paris. Have a good evening.
I will see you on the next one. Ciao.